Okay, so good morning, everyone. This is the last lecture for JOB 11. Today we'll be talking about these guys. This is a trilobite. They have reigned in the, yeah, these guys. So these are trilobites. They represent an organism that reigned for at least 300 million years sa seabed before, as an invertebrate, before sila eventually na kill off uh, with, I think during the actually finally sila nag-die off after pa ng ano eh. They also coexisted with reptiles during the early stages and then eventually they died. But anyway, the important thing to note is we'll be talking about fossils. So this chapter is on historical geology. We'll be covering what are fossils, the geologic timescale, the different dating techniques that we employ in geology. Okay, so this is the geologic time scale. So it shows or it highlights yung history ng Earth natin. And for the most part, as you know, actually empty of life, devoid of life. So for the past 4.56 billion years or 4,500 and 4,560 million years ng history ng Earth, actually, walang, dun sa 4 billion basically, halos walang life form na nakita. Okay? The only pre-existing life form from around 3.8 billion years to up to 540 million years. So for billions of years, yung only life form are these single-celled organisms. Okay? One of which is, of course, the cyanobacteria. The cyanobacteria, siya yung medyo naging prolific in the end kasi this species was able to utilize, or this organism was able to utilize yung atmospheric uh, composition ng atmosphere during the early days of the Earth, which is very much more toxic than what we have now. And so it used a lot of the carbon dioxide, nitrogen on the atmosphere, and in return produced oxygen as a byproduct, which was actually deadly for most or for the other single-celled organisms. So for the most part, siya yung nag-dominate pala. Siya yung nag-dominate for the early days of the history of the Earth until finally na overrule sila ng multicellular organisms. So from the time na nagsimula yung multicellular organisms around 500 to 600 million years ago, from then on, yung dominant na until now, of course, would be multicellular organisms. This does not mean, of course, na nawala na totally yung mga single-celled organisms. We still see them in lakes, in ponds, in the open oceans. Maraming mga single-celled organisms, some of which trace back their history to the earliest life forms on Earth. Okay? And one thing to note dito sa geologic timescale natin, although relatively maiksi, yung period that there's been life on Earth, at least multicellular level, we can see that the great diversification of life. From first, we have this reign of invertebrates, one of which was yung kaninang trilobites na pinakita ko sa inyo. The appearance of first jawless fish, for example, only happened about 400 million years ago, which is, by the way, very far or very different from what we now know as yung modern day fish. For example, before we have the fish that we have now, there were the real or the more dominant type of fish were the armored fishes. The armored fishes, you just imagine them as very bony, shelled fishes that look like this, for example. Reptiles, for example, are the first land or air-breathing multicellular organisms, for example, were insects. So there was a time the first organisms natin sa land were insects, and there were no reptiles, there were no amphibians like frogs, reptiles like snakes, walang anything like that for the first few million years, for the first hundreds of millions of years pala. Yan. And eventually, nag-flourish lang yung reptiles and yung amphibians sa land natin when finally plants also became dominant in the land. So, on land pala. So, from basically what I want you to note here is that life first life is first or life was first established in the seas in the form of invertebrates in the sea, and then eventually with the plants growing sa land on land, it also helped some of the organisms to migrate basically on land, which was first dominated by insects, eventually by amphibians, and eventually by reptiles, concluding, of course, with the reign of dinosaurs for hundreds of millions of years, at least 150 million years. And eventually, although first reptiles appeared 300 million years ago, eventually they will reign for the better part until 66 million years ago. So that's about 240 million years of reptile dominance on land. Eventually, as you know, extinction happened, and from the original dominance of reptiles, naging ang dominant naman this time with the mammals. And that's where we are right now. But mammals themselves have been changing throughout their history. For example, earlier millions of years, yung mammals natin are much bigger than what we have today. For example, yung mammoths, yung wolves, yung mga giant sloths, for example, these are very different from what we have now. As you know, yung mga sloth, para silang mga unggoy size lang ngayon. Pero they used to be as big as elephants, actually. So giant ground sloths, for example. Uh, humans, for example, the genus Homo, meaning lahat ng organisms that are of the same roots genus as us only appeared for at least 2.6 million years. So this is basically just the last minute. If we try to calculate representing yung history of the Earth in a clock, lahat ng nangyari so far sa history ng humanity, Roman Empire, or even going back to the Mesopotamian dynasty, for example, until present, lahat yun ay nangyari basically in a blink of an eye, geologically speaking, or in terms of geologic time scale. So ganun kalaki yung history ng life sa Earth. And we know that that's how long it's been based on fossils. So the field of geology, if you go back to the very first lecture, there are two main fields of geology. One of which is historical geology. So historical geology deals with the origin of Earth and its development through time. Goal is to establish a chronological, meaning time-bound arrangement of what happened physically and biologically. So in terms of physical changes and life forms um, that have occurred in the geologic past. And because it talks about biology also, our first or our the main tool for this field of or this branch of geology is of course fossils and radiometric dating. The fossils like this, Archaeopteryx, which is a descendant of or which is a descendant of the first winged reptiles, and eventually the ancestors to our modern birds. These are very useful in determining kailan nag-appear yung wings, for example, and ano yung earliest designs, kumbaga, ng wings, and how are they different from the modern day birds with their wings. Okay? Yeah, so yung progression na yon, yung storytelling na yon, comes in historical geology. So what are fossils then? Fossils can be actual remains or body parts ng organisms natin or pre-existing organisms, or they can be traces of prehistoric life preserved in sedimentary rocks. It's important because the fossils are important because they are time indicators. And from the from whatever we encounter as fossils, we can basically infer kung ano yung ancient organism and also ancient environment kung saan nabuhay yung organism na yun. These fossils include remains of organisms like bones ng dinosaurs, yung kanina for example, or shells ng organisms. But it can also be traces of organism, trace of life. For example, itong mga track and trails na to, itong mga dinaanan ng mga ancient insects na to, based on the itsura ng tracks and ng trails o kaya burrows ng modern organisms natin, we can backtrack to estimate gaano kalaki. Ano kaya yung organisms na nag-iwan nito? Gaano sila kalaki? Paano sila nabuhay? Anong type of environment yung nire-represent itong bato na to? Okay? Yan. So these are what we refer to as ichnofossils or trace fossils. I believe I've introduced that as well already sa sedimentary rocks na chapter. Okay? So, obviously, hindi lahat ng fossils or whatever is preserved, merong siyang special characteristics kaya siya na-preserve to begin with. So, for a fossil to be preserved, or for an organism to be preserved, it must be rapidly buried. So, rapid burial means decomposition is prevented, and therefore the bones remain intact, the shell remain intact, or in the case of trace fossils, yung burrows remain intact, for example. So it requires rapid burial and presence of protective cover or preserving media. So, for example, as you will see later, very fine sedimentary rocks like siltstones, mudstones. These are very good in preserving sedimentary rocks, in preserving fossils rather, or on land, yung first record natin ng oldest insects, for example, are from tree saps. These tree saps, when they solidify, are what we refer to as amber. Okay. So as I was saying, so kailangan natin ng first fast burial, and we need the burying material to be protected. And usually this include very fine sedimentary materials, sedimentary rocks rather. And finally, if the organism has hard, durable tissues like shells, bones, teeth, ito usually actually preserve. So for example, this is a very nice photo, or a more recent finding. You can see here two organisms. One organism is this one. It's being held clutching, and this one is this smaller organism like this one. Yeah. This is from China. You can see the well-preserved bones and the well-preserved. The only thing that preserved them are actually the only part of them that was preserved are actually their bones. Wala na syempre yung mga soft tissues nila. And you can see that the cover, that the protective material that buried them is a fine sedimentary, actually ash. This is a fine ash. Yeah. And you can see that this is a sudden event kasi bigla lang silang caught off guard. So for example, when scientists tried to reconstruct ano yung itsura siguro, ano kaya yung nangyayari dito, the inference is actually that they are a dinosaur. This is a dinosaur, and a smaller mammal feeding on it. So something more like a possum eating a bigger dinosaur. Yeah, ito yung kanilang artistic rendition of course. Look at the finding. It's 2023. So, yeah. So interactions, or this is a concrete evidence of the interactions of the early mammals with the then superior or more dominant na mga dinosaurs. Yeah. Okay. So, types of fossilization, or the different ways that they are fossilized. First is, of course, if you have body parts that are hard or that are preserved completely, so they may be preserved. Preservation of unaltered body parts like hard parts such as shells, bone, teeth, or kaya in the case of plants, pollen. And then the soft tissues can actually be preserved sometimes, but this usually includes either very dry in the case of mummification, or very cold and dry, very hot pala in the case of mummification, or very dry and cold na environment like freezing. Si Otzi Man, for example, yung anyway, yung earlier humanoid na fossil that's actually preserved, almost completely preserved, because that Otziman actually lived during an ice age. So na-cover siya on ice. Nung nag-thaw yung ice, saka lumabas yung body parts niya. More often, however, These hard parts can be actually chemically altered through the process of carbonization, wherein yung soft tissues is preserved as a thin carbon film, parang Xerox copy ng organism, but the rest is lost. Recrystallization, wherein you have one mineral being replaced by a more stable, pwede yung polymorph niya, meaning it's the same composition but a different crystal structure, or pwede rin siyang complete dissolution of the original material and precipitation of a new mineral in the case of replacement. And then finally, permineralization. This is something in between. So, yung permineralization, yung original structures and yung composition niya are retained, but the pore spaces or the porous spaces are actually filled with secondary materials. So you may be familiar with the process of petrifaction, wherein you have wood preserving their structure, pero yung wood na yun is actually transformed into a rock na, petri or rock. So it's transformation of the wood into a rock, not by dissolution or not by conversion, but simply by new material filling in yung pore spaces. And then, pwede ring completely mawala yung remains ng organism, but they can be preserved as mold and cast. So basically, yung shell natin, for example, through time, pwede siya mag-dissolve, and this will serve as a mold, as a llanera, yung lalagyan ng leche flan. And then, yung leche flan, yan yung ating cast. Okay? So, wala na yung shape ng original fossil, wala na yung original fossil, pero yung shape ng original fossil can be preserved. Okay, and then finally nga, ichnofossils. So ichnofossils, they are not fragments or parts of earlier life, but actually they represent evidence pa din ng earlier life form in the form of their tracks, where they live, like burrows, or gastroliths, which are rocks, gastro, so stomach rocks. So this is very common for reptiles. They use the rocks that they digest. Actually, hindi na digest, ingest. The rocks that they ingest to help them ito, with um, with their digestion. So digestion ng hard plant material that they usually eat. And then coprolites, which are fossilized pupo, fossilized shit. So usually unaltered hard parts like this, they require relatively special parameters or special modes of preservation. For example, the La Brea tar pits. Tar is basically petroleum na in its another form. So para siyang yung spalto. So yan. Naturally, asphalt can be formed from petroleum oozing out from the surface. Petroleum is just carbon. And in some areas, Europe, merong mga tar pits which act as para siyang quicksand. So once you're in, you can't get out. And from there, usually yung pinipaint na picture ng La Brea tar pits is that meron kang mga prey na nahuhulog dun sa tar pits, and then they cry for help. The predators arrive, they start to eat yung prey, but they themselves becomes on the tar pits, and eventually both the predator and the prey and all other organisms are actually trapped in the tar pits. But since the petroleum or the tar is actually protective, para siyang amber actually, nape-preserve yung buong organism or most of the organism. Okay? And then also in common sa oceans naman, alteration ng original body tissue, and even sometimes complete dissolution of the material. It's just the mold that is left behind. So mold eventually filled with new material, then it leaves a shape like this, a cast. Okay? Yung sa sabi ko kanina, yung mga organisms kanina, fossils, insects pala, hindi organisms, insects. Earliest insects, yung first evidence natin that they existed and their morphology hasn't changed that much, are actually amber. So amber is tree sap that's solidified, So yung tree sap, nahulog siya dun sa organism, becomes trapped forever like this. And then you can also have yung parang Xerox copy nga, carbonization, so carbon, yung carbon is basically, or the insect, the carbon on the insect or the organism is preserved dun sa sediment. Eventually, the soft tissues becomes lost, but what remains is yung imprint, yung, yung impression ng organism na yun. And then ichnofossils, such as burrows, and these are tracks, so yung dinaanan ng organism na to. Yan. And also gastroliths like this. These are polished stones, naturally polished stones, eaten by dinosaurs. Of course, they are usually found in their stomach pa. Kaya natin nasasabi na kaya sila polished kasi nasa stomach sila ng dinosaurs. So, several cases ng fossils or ng reptiles, large reptiles, eating yung or ingesting rocks to help them with their digestion. Yeah. Actually, so you may have heard already that that birds, aves, are actually descendants, or they are descendants and dinosaurs in the sense that they branched out from the same from the same ano dito? From the same anyway, from the same branch as dinosaurs. So nag-branch out lang sila. They're relatives anyway. And some of the behavior ng birds actually still reflect their dinosaur origins. For example, they are also ingest, of course, much smaller stones or gastroliths like this. Yeah. So with that, with the progression of life form, fossils, depende sa layers kung nasan sila nahanap, we can therefore establish yung progression ng history ng Earth both in the physical sense and in the biological sense, yung life, changes in life. And this is usually preserved, or this is usually summarized pala in the form of the geologic time scale. So the geologic time scale divides the Earth's history into hierarchical set of divisions describing the geologic time, and the units include eon being the biggest division, followed by era, period, epoch, and then finally age. Okay, so this is how the geologic time scale looks like. These are the eons. This is the Proterozoic, Archean, and Hadean. No need to memorize, by the way. And then, yung eon dito, lahat to, itong nakikita niyo dito, Cenozoic, Mesozoic, and Paleozoic, they belong to a single eon of Phanerozoic eon. Okay, I think. Tapos, yung next nila ay era. Yung era, ito yung mas smaller division nila. And then, itong mga nandito actually, yung nakikita niyo dito, yan yung mga era. So, si Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic. Paleozoic, ano yan siya, mga, itong mga soft prefix na to, Paleo means old, Meso means middle, and then Ceno is, hindi ko malala kung present or recent. Anyway, this is the age of the Paleozoic, is the age of invertebrates. Mesozoic is the age of reptiles, and then Cenozoic is the age of mammals. And then you have more subdivisions. So, for example, Cambrian is characterized by yung explosion of invertebrate life forms, so several types, and eventually the first appearance of fishes, first appearance of insects, first appearance of life, yun ay highlighted as specific periods. Okay? For example, sa Mesozoic, ganun din, yung type of dinosaurs or hindi pa dinosaurs, type of reptiles rather, that was dominant at that time was different for the Triassic versus the Jurassic versus the Cretaceous. So actually, yung mga nasa movie na Jurassic Park, which refers to this period, actually belongs to most of those actually belong to the Cretaceous period. Okay? And then, ito na yung mammal life form. Ganun lang. So, ganun siya hinahati-hati. Either specific events in the history of the Earth, for example, the division between Paleozoic and Mesozoic is the is a period representing a millions of years of extinction. So it was a great extinction event, hindi pala millions. Thousands of years, at least in the geologic record, na nagpapakita na sudden drop in life form. Okay? Eventually succeeded by next or another life form. So for example, dito puro invertebrates, then they died off during the Permo-Triassic boundary or somewhere in the Permo-Triassic boundary, eventually to be replaced by reptiles. Of course, this does not mean na wala na tayong invertebrates, but for the most part, after this, wala na masyadong invertebrates species, yung dami nila, naging less diverse, kumbaga. Some still existed or some still some persisted. Some species still persisted, but for the most part, maraming species yung namatay during the PT boundary. Ganun din yung Cretaceous to Paleogene or the KT boundary, Cretaceous to Tertiary boundary, it represents yung extinction event ulit. Extinction event specifically between the large reptiles, eventually to be replaced by mammals. Okay? So ganun din. So ganun hinahati yung geologic timescale. Siguro yung pinaka-important, hindi, okay lang. Sa JOL1 dinidiscuss mas specifically kung ano yung highlights between periods. But up to there lang. For JOL11, ang napag-utusan na ako ay hanggang dito lang. So okay na yan. Yan. Then finally, kung wala man tayong fossils, kung wala man tayong radiometric, or kung wala man tayong dating techniques for the set of rocks that we see, we employ relative dating. So this is the simplest way of determining yung relative timing of events. So imagine this rock, for example, these are composed of metamorphic rocks sa ilalim. You can see that these metamorphic rocks are folded. And therefore, originally, of course, they were deposited horizontally, much like layer C. And so something must have happened. Kaya naging deformed na yung layer na to. And since ito ay deformed, si layer C ay relatively flat, we know that layers A, yung si A, happened much earlier than layer C. As, of course, aside from the fact na siya yung nasa ilalim, si A yung nasa ilalim, si C yung nasa taas. So all of these parameters or all of this evidence suggest na yung timing would be, first, nagkaroon muna nitong metamorphic rocks, and then, na-deposit yung nasa taas. And then, meron kang mga intrusions like B and D, which we can also estimate yung relative timing niya. So, for example, si B, si Batholith B. So, si Batholith B, again, a batholith is a large intrusive body. Please go back to chapter magma igneous processes. And anyway, so you have this big batholith cutting layer A. So we know that if this intrusive body cut A, then si B is younger than A, diba? Pero B was not able to cut C, yung horizontal layers, and therefore the horizontal layer C is much younger than B. So yung sequence natin ngayon is A followed by B followed by C, diba? And then next you have this another intrusive body D. And intrusive body D cuts A, B, and C, and therefore it's younger than the 3. But it does not cut layer E. Instead, it's actually eroded. It was eroded only to be replaced by E. So you have A, B, C, D, E. And then finally, you have this fault, F. A, B, C, D, E, F. Madali lang siya, diba? So yung F natin cuts all the units, including the layer E, which is the topmost unit. So that's A, B, C, D, E, F. Yan yung age progression nila. So that by itself is already dating, but relative. Relative dating, meaning determining timing of events in the relative sequence, not absolute ages. Okay? So for relative dating, we employ the techniques that I already discussed just kanina, these laws or this rule of thumb, kumbaga. So Steno's laws, inclusions, unconformities, and fossils. So yung Steno's laws, tatlo yan siya. I know it's quite, apat pala siya. It's quite long, pero madali lang to. Law of superposition. Basically, in a sequence of in a sequence of layered rocks, okay, na hindi na disturb, hindi sila deformed, for example, in a sequence of layers of rocks, obviously the one at the bottom is the older one. The one at the top is the younger one. Yun lang yun. Law of superposition. Second law, kapag nade-deposits yung sedimentary material or for anything, if nag-settle yung dust, they settle the dust completely, okay? Covering the whole table or the whole room. Hindi naman siya magsasettle lang dito sa specific spot na to, tapos wala nang dust sa paligid. Diba? So that's law of lateral continuity. Yung rock layers natin extends completely. Okay? Dun sa environment kung saan siya na-deposit. And when they are deposited horizontally, meaning wala kang layers of rocks or wala kang layers of sediments na nade-deposit in a vertical manner. Diba? Hindi naman siya parang tubo nagde-deposit. So that's original horizontality. Layers of sediments would have in the bottom of a lake or an ocean deposited by gravity, and therefore, since it's deposited by gravity, they will form flat horizontal or sub-horizontal layers. So that's the law of original horizontality. And then finally, if you have a rock layer cut by a fault or an igneous intrusive body, then the fault that cuts or the intrusive body that cuts the older body must be younger. Yan, simple lang. So, yun yung in-employ natin dito kanina. Yan. Sabi natin, si layer C, nakapatong siya kay layer A, and therefore, C must be younger than A. Si D, intrusive body D, cuts A, B, C, and therefore D must be the youngest. Younger. And then finally, si E, yan, nakapatong siya sa lahat, it must be younger. And it was not cut by D, and therefore wala pang D nung time na deposit si E. Wala pang E nung na time na nag-intrude si B, and therefore E is younger than D. So this is law of original horizontality, law of superposition, and cross-cutting relationships. Okay? Simple lang. And then next, inclusions. Inclusions, kunwari, conglomerate. Imagine a conglomerate with a class and a matrix. Sino yung mas older? Yung class ng conglomerate or yung conglomerate that includes the class? Diba? So, obviously, the older unit would be the class ng conglomerate. The same for example, this one. This is a xenolith. I think I've already discussed. Again, go back to igneous processes. This is a xenolith. This xenolith or this rock was derived from the pre-existing rock and therefore must be older than the rock that hosts yung xenolith na yan. So that's inclusions. The included material is obviously older than the body which hosts it. And then finally, unconformities. So unconformities represents breaks in the deposition of rocks. They usually reflect geologically long periods of either erosion or non-deposition. So what's meant by this one? Usually, unconformities reflect tectonic changes or changes in the either tectonic configuration, yung plate movement natin, or they represent periods na walang deposition na nangyari. Okay? For example, if you have a lake, tapos that is submerged sa water, of course, and therefore there's deposition, but eventually na-expose siya sa surface. So, na-evaporate lahat ng tubig sa lake. Kapag na-expose siya sa surface, pwedeng minimal or no deposition at all yung mangyari. So that will result to what we refer to as an unconformity. Okay, so there are 4 types of unconformities. The first one is an angular unconformity. It's quite simple. Basically, the beds at the bottom, as you can see from here, are tilted in a different way compared to the beds at the top. Yeah. So you can see here, folded beds, folded layer units, and it's cut by this, or it's truncated by this boundary here, only to be followed by these more horizontal layers. So this here is an angular unconformity. Okay, simple lang. Next, nonconformity. So nonconformity happens when you have an intrusive body. Yan tayo. So you have an intrusive body. Yan. Nag-cut siya ng layer A. So hindi yun unconformity, hindi yun non-conformity. Pero from B to C, you see here this horizon of erosion. Yan. And this zone of erosion between B and C, itong zone lang na to, yan yung non-conformity. So non-conformity is when you have an igneous or a metamorphic rock overlain by a sedimentary unit, again separated by an erosional surface. So this one, for example, you have a contact of an igneous with a sedimentary rock, D and C. You have here an igneous in contact with a sedimentary rock, but this is not a non-conformity. This is an intrusive contact. Okay, an unconformity again must reflect erosion or non-deposition. So dito si B, when it cut A, that was an intrusive contact. But when it was eroded, si A at si B, when they were eroded and eventually deposited with C, this now becomes an non this now becomes a non-conformity. Okay? Ito naman, these are angular unconformity. Okay? So those are the two types. Next, disconformity. Ito naman, sedimentary on sedimentary. Okay? So you have here, for example, A, B, C, D. And then uplift, for example. And therefore, na-erode si layer D. Na-erode si layer D. Eventually, nag-deposit ng bagong set of rocks, layer E. Take note na hindi naman nagbago yung angle, yung strike and dip angle ng beds natin. Pumatong lang si E kay C. This boundary or this horizon between C and E is an unconformity. Specifically, it's a disconformity. Okay, sedimentary on sedimentary. And then finally, paraconformity. Para in geology is a prefix which means almost or like. Okay, paraconformity is like an unconformity, but not really, or it's difficult to say that it's an unconformity because usually a paraconformity represents a period of non-deposition. So A, B, C, D uli, okay? Pero nung kinuha natin yung age ni C kay D, the age of C is way older than D. Okay? Okay, so for example, si A is 100, si B is 50 million years, si C is 75, si A ay 100, si B ay 75, si C ay 50 million years. So you would think na si D represents 25 million years. But for example, D represents present. Oh, so although horizontal sila and although walang obvious na erosional surface in between them, then that means na hindi pala pwedeng present. Let's say 100,000 years, 100,000 years for example. So, sobrang laki nung gap between C and D. Although wala tayong physically nakikita na erosional surface, there must have been a period from 25, from 50 million years to 100,000 years na walang deposition na nangyayari. Okay? Most likely man nagkaroon ng erosion yan, pero hindi na natin masabi. So, since wala ka namang erosional surface na obvious gaya ng disconformity, we will call this as a paraconformity. Okay? Yan. So, these are cases how unconformities form. So, you have flat layers, eventually folding and uplifting, resulting to mountain building, and eventually erosional surface happens, erosional periods happen, and eventually when this layers of rock becomes submerged ulit underwater, then you end up again with deposition and eventually an angular unconformity like so. Ito naman, this is a disconformity. Yeah. And then finally, fossil succession, which was first proposed by Will Smith, but not this Will Smith, this Will Smith. So this was first proposed in the 1700s, wherein you have fossil organisms. Parang yung kwento ko kanina, the first, it was the history of life on Earth. It was first dominated by invertebrates, followed by vertebrates, pero more of the fishes side, and then amphibians, and then reptiles, and eventually mammals. So ganong progression, yung ganong progression can be, of course, observed in much smaller scales. And recognizing that, Will Smith proposed that fossil organisms succeed one another in a definite and determinable order. Therefore, if you have an order of rocks like this type of shelled organisms, and then followed by this set of organisms, followed by this set of organisms, etc., etc. When you correlate that with another set of rocks containing another another similar progression, so ito for example, this one and this one, you can clearly see that this layer of rocks in the east, for example, miles away must be of the same age as these layers of rocks on the other side of the world, for example. This was employed extensively, for example, during the when continental drift theory, for example, was first being proposed. Yeah. Okay. So, and then finally, so that lahat ng discuss natin kanina pa ay relative dating techniques. Now, let's move on to the actual determination of numerical ages. Paano siya ginagawa? That is through radiometric dating. The radiometric dating is a technique used to date materials such as rocks, usually based on the comparison of the daughter isotopes and the parent isotopes and their decay rates. So, as you know, there are some elements in the periodic table which coexist which are radiometrically unstable, meaning naturally they decay. For example, carbon-14 decays to nitrogen-14, but their decay period, their decay rates is relatively fast so that we can only date materials that are up to 60,000 years. Other materials like uranium-238, other elements pala, uranium-238, usually decays naturally into lead-206. But this decay period is very long so that you can date oldest rocks of the oldest rocks from 1 million to over 5 billion years of age. For example, yung zircons natin, which hosts uranium-238, based on the abundance of the lead-206, we can calculate kung ano yung original na composition ng uranium-238, and therefore, from the product, we can back calculate kung ano yung age ng original na bato. How long has it been since the original 238 decomposed essentially into this much lead-206? So that's a concept of radiometric decay. And from there, you have the geologic time and fossil record. From the relative dating techniques, we can pinpoint the different types of reptiles, for example, that existed rather from the Cretaceous from the Triassic to the Jurassic to the Cretaceous, and relate that with actual numbers of ilang millions of years yung Jurassic to Cretaceous o kaya Triassic to Jurassic, etc. Okay, so that is through the concept of half-life. Half-life ng ating parent isotopes, wherein it's the length of time required for one half of that parent isotope to decay to exactly another. Okay, so for example, the oldest rocks natin like at Cascanice and Jack Hills, nice zircons pala. So yung zircons from the Jack Hills in Australia, they are the oldest materials and they were dated to be the oldest materials based on radiometric dating. But by the way, radiometric dating is a very fairly new technique. It was only, you may have seen some ages referred or indicated as BP, 19, for example, 3000 BP. Maraming terms eh. Pwedeng AD or Anno Domini after supposedly the ascension ni Christ. CE, pwede rin siyang BP. BP is before present. And yung present na yun is not the actual year now. It's actually based on 1950, which is the period ng when radiometric dating was first, radiometric technique was first applied. Okay? So lahat ng BP ay based on 1950 na calculation. Okay? Anyway, so fairly new siya na technique. When relatively old, but not so old. Yeah. And then for the longest time, for example, we've only been using fossils. So fossils, which are actual remains or imprints na of traces living or of organisms that lived for the past or that are older than 10,000 years. Yung remains na ay older than 10,000 years. And I think sinasabi ko kanina na evolution doesn't mean na the organism completely wiped off. Okay, cyanobacteria, for example, still exists today, although they've been around since 3.5 billion years. Yeah, yeah. So that's it for historical geology. So Tuesday again, we'll have Tuesday would be review, quiz, and then Thursday final long exam before the finals. Okay, bye.